Michael Yabsley, thank you very much for talking to the Power Index.
Pleasure, Paul.
You have been a pretty successful fundraiser in your time. What do people get when they give a political donation? What do they think they're getting?
Well, the answer to that varies. For the most part, they get nothing other than what I describe as a warm inner glow.
But you started the Millennium Forum and then the Wentworth Forum. The Millennium Forum essentially offers people the chance to talk to Liberal leaders for a fee, for quite a large fee. They pay money to get access to the people who run the Liberal Party, and they have been in government. Now that's surely getting something for their money, isn't it?
I have always felt somewhat queasy about this whole process. And look, you can say, this is all, pretty hypocritical, or, you're sort of living in parallel universes. You can say all of that, and perhaps there's an element of truth in it. As I have gone through really the best part of, more than 3 decades of political fundraising, I have always worried about the perception that attaches to what you have just pointed out.
The perception being that it's corrupt, or that it smells, or that people are getting access, buying access.
Look, I think it fails the smell test. Whether it was the Bank of New South Wales giving £250,000 to the Liberal Party in 1961, or a business person giving $20,000 to the Liberal Party, or the National Party, or the Labor Party, or the Greens. I mean, let's not pretend that this debate is confined to one party. This is across the board.
So you're queasy about it. What do you want to see happen? Do you want to see it ended, that sort of form of fundraising?
Look,
what do you want to see?
In simple terms, I believe political donations from entities across the board, companies, private companies, public companies, business associations, trade unions, anything that fits within the description of an entity should be abolished. End of story. There should be no scope for entities to make political donations in Australia. The only political donations that should be allowed should be donations from individuals, in other words, real people, Australian citizens, and those donations should be capped by legislation at a modest amount. What is that amount? Might be $500, might be $1,000, might be $2,000, something in that realm.
So was there a point on your road to Damascus when this happened, or
Well, of course, it'd be a bit unfair to say it was. I know what you say. Yeah, look. I mean, in a sense, okay. Let's call it a road to Damascus. I mean, anyone who sort of
spends half his life raising money very effectively for the Liberal Party, and then throws his hands up at the end and says, "Oh, it's a terrible idea. Let's stop it."
No, but and again, I will live with the criticism of the poacher turned gamekeeper, through to what sort of hypocrisy or paradox or inconsistency is this?
If you ban political donations, who's going to fund the parties? The taxpayer.
That then opens up another debate, and the debate is about election funding, which of course runs in parallel with the debate about election fundraising. And I don't want to try and create what sounds like a semantic distinction, but there is in fact a distinction. I actually believe that election campaigning, the advertising that is involved, the messaging, is pretty unseemly. I think it's sort of out of control, because it actually goes back to we're not selling soap powder here. We're not selling pet food. We're not advertising a service that is just another commercial service offering. This actually goes to a fundamental question about the integrity of government and the way it is perceived. And that is why I think there should be a separate discussion in relation to political fundraising and the funding of elections. And I find myself, ironically, having, after all of this, arrived at what might be described as a very left of centre view from a right of centre person.